This is me, Asian Dave, aka Fanatical for Jesus, coming to you right now, making another YouTube video. Um, I want to talk a little bit about presuppositional apologetics because I've seen a lot of videos and about this where certain presuppositionalists are talking to atheists, and it just seems like the argument of presuppositionalism just goes way over the atheist's head because the arguments they make against it, I don't know, don't really make any sense. First off, a lot of atheists think that presuppositionalists are telling them stuff like, oh, they don't use logic, they're illogical, or they no, not that no, that they're telling them that atheists or unbelievers don't use logic, or that atheists or unbelievers are immoral people and that they're evil and stuff like that. And that could be further from the truth. Actually, presuppositional apologetics does say that atheists do know right and wrong. That atheists do use the laws of logic. That they do hold to the laws of logic, and that they do believe in the uniformity of nature, and that they do believe in existence and stuff like that. Presuppositional apologetics doesn't deny that. However, with the point of content, what the issue is that even though while they use logic and while they do know right and wrong, and while they do depend on the uniformity of nature and others, and while they do know that they exist, they take all that for granted, and they can't account for all of that. They can't justify how they know right from wrong. They can't justify how they know the laws of logic. And they can't justify how they know how they depend on the uniformity of nature, or how they know they exist. An atheist or unbeliever, and they also can't justify how they don't have any foundation for knowledge. But yet an atheist they still do know things. Presuppositional apologetics doesn't deny that atheists or unbelievers know things, because we admit you do know things. But an atheist or unbeliever cannot account for how they know things, because they don't have, on their worldview, they don't have a foundation for knowledge, ethics, morality, uniformity of nature, or even existence itself. They don't have any foundation. And that's so when a presuppositionalist is talking to an atheist or unbeliever, we're just challenging you to defend how you hold to these things, that you have no logical foundation for it. And I have yet to hear a single atheist or unbeliever actually do that. And it just proves the point further that you do know God exists, because God is the back of all things. So, in order for you to know things, you have to presuppose an objective standard of truth. And when you presuppose that objective standard of truth, that presupposes God, because God is true. God is the back of everything that's true and good. So in order for you to know anything that's moral, or morally good, you have to presuppose an objective standard of good to know what's evil. Because all evil is just a distortion of what's good. So in order for you to know what's evil, you have to presuppose a standard of good. But you can't justify how you know that standard, because you're suppressing that truth. You're suppressing that truth that you know God exists, because you love your sin more than you love God. And yeah, and also about this business about presuppositional apologetics is circular reasoning. Well, I'm not gonna go into what certain presuppositionalists talk about virtuous circle and vicious circle. I'm not going to go into that, but I will go into and say that every argument is indeed circular. Every argument is. And every worldview presupposes a script. Every worldview presupposes a stand of authority that they depend on. And my worldview as a Christian presupposes the Bible. And the Bible self-attests to its own authority. Because there is nothing greater than God. According to the Christian worldview, there is nothing greater than God that he could swear by but himself. So that's why the Bible self-attests to itself. And according to the atheist worldview, even an atheist has to presuppose a script. The only difference is the atheist script isn't written down. The atheist script is his own divinized logic, his own divinized mind. And every time you speak, you're presupposing that script. Just like every time I speak, I'm presupposing my script. And my script can actually account for the laws of logic and ethics and morality, the uniformity of nature and existence. But your script cannot account for that. The only way your script can account for that is by borrowing from my script. And all I'm doing as a presuppositional is challenging you to defend how you know those things. So know knowledge, ethics, morality, uniformity in nature, and existence itself without, like, how do you know those things without presupposing my script, without presupposing God? What is your foundation for all of that? And I hear atheists say, well, I know those things to be true because of reason. Well, how do you know that your reasoning is valid? Like, how do you know that your reasoning is more valid than someone locked up in an institution somewhere? Like, and when you press that, like, you don't know because you have no knowledge for foundation. Or, I mean, you have no foundation for knowledge. But yeah, like, you don't know. You have to borrow from my worldview. But just think about that. Like, you take that for granted you take those things for granted to be true, but you can't justify them, and that's what the issue is. You can't account for those things that you take for granted. But yeah, I'd like to hear what atheists have to say about this. So I'm putting it out there. Atheists, how do you account for knowledge? How do you account for ethics? How do you account for morality? How do you account for the uniformity in nature? How do you account for the laws of logic? How do you account for even existence itself? What is your foundation for all of that? And don't tell me that you reason that those are true, because you don't even know if your reasoning is valid. And then if you do, and if you think your reasoning is valid, then tell me how you know your reasoning is valid. And also, yeah, I mean, I just want to know what your foundation for all those things are. So please, if you're an atheist, agnostic, or an unbeliever, and you just believe in something else, like anything, please comment below. Tell me what your thoughts are. And as always, don't forget to rate and subscribe to me. Alright, have a good day. God bless, and deuces.